Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. And welcome to TechByte on Salam Media. My name is Faizel Patel, just gone 5 minutes past 7 o'clock on this Sunday evening. We take this opportunity to welcome all those listening to us on the various platforms, those watching us on the various platforms of Salam Media. You can also get us on the social media platforms, which is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on YouTube. We've got a packed lineup show for this evening, a very interesting show. So please stay tuned and interact with me on the various social media platforms. That's on Twitter at Faizel Patel 143, on Instagram at Faizel Patel 143, on Facebook.com// Faizel Patel, and also on YouTube, which is my channel at Faizel Patel. And you can check out all my videos there, all the unboxings, and also all the reviews that I've done. So, without further ado, let's jump into the first interview for this evening. No doubt many of you at home are either using DSTV, you are using an Apple TV, using Disney, you are using Netflix, Showmax, whatever you have. There's even BritBox, and there's so many other on the market. Now, this obviously, and among many other issues, have caused DSTV's downward spiral in the country. So we're going to be speaking to somebody by the name of Hanno Labuschagne, and he penned an article for My Broadband called DSTV's Downward Spiral in South Africa. So let's go through just a few lines of that article and we'll welcome Hanno to the program. So viewership of DSTV's most popular program has plunged in the past year, and it's at its lowest in a 6 year data from the Broadcast Research Council of South Africa, also PRCSA reveals. Now, let's welcome to the program Hanno. Hanno, good evening to you. Thank you for your time on Salam Media. Okay, my engineer is just trying to get Hanno online. Hanno, do we have him online? Good evening, Hanno. Thank you for your time on Salam Media.
Good evening, Faisal. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely, loud and clear.
Perfect.
Anu, interesting article on my broadband. I'm one of those that have DSTV and Disney and Apple TV, among many others as well. And sometimes I don't even tune in to the DSTV apart from the Formula One and the cricket and the rugby. I mean, interesting article, as I mentioned. Apart from these, what I've mentioned, and the streaming services that we've got, which are significantly cheaper than DSTV, and a lot of people subscribing in droves, with a lot of people sharing their codes and logins with their family and friends. Why? I mean, what's the main reason that DSTV's popularity is plunging in the country?
Yeah, it's very interesting what we found in particular that, these super popular shows that are top 30 rated are also seeing a decline in viewership. Whereas, BSTV has for the last few years said, we're losing premium subscribers at high-end packages, but we're gaining in the low-end market. So all these cheaper packages and the mid-market packages, you've got compact and family and those packages, where it appears that it's going better. They've got a hyper-local content strategy. Those shows are incredibly popular and much more popular than some of the stuff, the premium stuff you get only on a premium. I'm talking, for example, about shows like House of a Dragon from HBO, all those types of shows. We saw that show on its debut on DSTV actually only got about 7,701 viewers, where something like Gomorrah, an episode like Gomorrah, the top-rated episode, got about 1.1 million viewers in most of the time. But what is troublesome about that figure is the previous year it was at 1.6 million viewers. So it's a radical decline, and it seems to be across some of its cheaper packages, which is very, very curious. It seems to suggest maybe there's a shift towards either more digital DSTV streaming. That might be the case because the BRCSA's figures don't include that, so we have to take that into account. But it could also be, just an indication that some of the people on the lower end packages are now also moving to streaming services, and not just people in the higher end brackets, because we've got, these cheap mobile plans with Showmax, MultiChoice's own product, where they
Yes.
offer it on demand, 39 rand a month, which is much more affordable than your
Mm,
average DSTV package. And data is getting cheaper, so people are, I think that's also a big factor. Data is getting cheaper, and people are shifting over. It's very difficult for some people to see the value, in the DSTV premium package. But yeah, I think one of the big things that remains, like you said now, Faisal, as well, is sports. That's your main
mm.
reason for keeping DSTV, and it doesn't seem like they'll have a lot to offer in terms of international content soon because of all these streaming services come here. But yeah, suffice to say, we have to admit they've got a great, great local slate, and
Okay.
these shows are doing good. Yes.
Coming on to sport, I mean, obviously that is something that is a huge, huge attraction for many people in the
Yes.
country. The Premiership, obviously the European Premiership and the English Premiership,
Hmm.
the local soccer we see here in South Africa, the rugby. I mean, well, congrats to the Spocks who beat
Yes.
Australia the first time in 13 years, if I'm not
Such
mistaken.
a relief.
Besides the brawl that we've seen, but beers afterwards, obviously for the Springboks and the Wallabies. But on another note, I mean, I think what I've spoken to in my field with the Citizen and many other media organizations, the people that
Hmm.
I've spoken to, one of the things that people keep on harping about is the only reason, as I mentioned, they're keeping DSTV is because of the sports package. I mean, that's a huge
Yes.
attraction on its own. Considering that,
Yes.
I mean, has DSTV ever sort of sat around a table with the big management and big bosses and say, hey, you know what, listen, if anybody else doesn't want to subscribe to the other channels because it's repeats all the time, why don't we just have a sports packages with about probably 10, 15 channels that covers everything, and we offer that as a subscription for around, say, $400-500 a month, which I'm sure there will be a
Hmm.
huge uptake.
Yes. So I'm sure you're one of many South Africans that are screaming for this. I mean, we've called for it for a long time. The biggest sports fans just give us sports. We just want sports. That's all we want. And MultiChoice has launched a product that sort of does this a little bit. It's called Showmax Pro, so it includes all the
Mm,
Showmax content and then a little bit of sports. But what's missing from that package is just some of the premium stuff that people want. There's no rugby, there's no cricket, there's no tennis, or the most premium events in those categories, and yeah,
mm,
it's and even golf. So it's lacking. It's a lacking package, and it seems that DSTV is hesitant to make that play, where they sort of want to subsidize all of the content with charging higher end prices. But yeah, I think certainly it might be time for them to adapt and offer something in that area. But the reality is, unfortunately, that sports rights are very expensive at the moment. We know there are attempts by the ruling party to now try and get more sports of national interest or events of national interest are broadcast on public broadcasting, and that would definitely affect the
of
pockets
course,
of
yes.
some of the association, because that's how they make money and how they fund the sports. So it's a bit of a difficult one to navigate, but definitely DSTV needs to be very careful in this regard, because we've seen now other international streaming services. I'm talking about like Amazon and even
Mm,
Disney in India in particular,
yes.
with the Hotstar app, where they've taken IPL rights and they've got
Mm,
IPL rights and they broadcast the IPL. So
of course,
these
yes.
international streaming services are seeing an immense opportunity in sports streaming, where they can still push ads. People wouldn't mind. You just pay for a sports streaming package. You'd be able to subsidize that a little bit with advertising. You don't have to push up your prices immensely, and
Mm,
you've got you've got
mm,
sports on your big services, on Netflix, on Disney Plus. So DSTV needs to be very careful, because these global giants, they've got a lot of money. So
mm.
it's an interesting thing. They're in
Of
between.
course.
It seems like a bit of a rock and a hard place.
And finally, Anu, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed on Apple TV, which I have a subscription for among Disney and many
Hmm.
others as well, we've seen one of the movies that just played out in a cinema, I think just a few weeks ago, was Top Gun Maverick, the new movie with Tom
Yes.
Cruise. And I see that's already available on Apple TV or it's going to be
Hmm.
available soon for, a price where you can buy it or you can rent it and that kind of stuff. Do you think that DSTV should make a more concerted effort to get movies like, say, Maverick. Obviously, it will keep people at home, and that's not what you want. You want people to go out, and the movie experience is
Mm.
a different experience altogether. But should they have? I mean, they can't compete with Apple. I mean, on any level because of the billions that Apple make every day, with a new launch coming up this week as well with the Apple iPhone 14. But I mean, should they make a
Yeah.
more concerted effort, to get these massive hits that's currently playing out in the movies? I know one of the things that I'm enjoying at the moment
Mm.
is My Name is Riva, which isn't on any other channels. But I mean, those are sort of shows and series that's draw cards, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yeah. No, certainly. I think, Faisal, that would be a great idea to do. I mean, they've already got the box office platform, which is great for movie rentals. So you can do it just on there, where you sort of adapt this. I know, for example, the Top Gun 2 thing. I think where it might be a bit difficult to convince South African audiences where it's something new, it's quite expensive, because I think it's something like $20 you pay, but it's like then your whole family can watch it, and it's still a very good offer. So no, certainly I definitely think they can do a little bit of better negotiating on that front to get those premium titles. I know Top Gun 2 was a big hit for the cinemas. We've seen
Mm.
Sterling and Metro say, this thing has helped revive the love for cinema. And if you've got titles like that on your platform, excellent. That would be great. But it really does seem like DSTV is moving away from investing in international content and these premium titles, and really focusing on the entry level market and bringing those hyper local shows. Exactly like you said, My Name is Reba is a good example of it's a well produced local show, and it's certainly a very big strength for them. But they are doing this a little bit at the cost of some of their premium customers who expect international content.
Right.
So, sure, it's these streaming giants coming in. It's a big mover and a shaker. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of a multi-choice executive at the moment.
And then finally, I mean, just on the technical aspects, I mean, we're speaking about, and I've written a story today for the Citizen with regards to, in 1963, where somebody spoke about cell phones and a phone in your pocket. One of the things that South Africa has been grappling with, obviously, was the digital migration. Nshaveni Kumbudzo,
Mm,
Minister of, digital technologies and, telecommunications in South Africa, this week issued a
mm,
statement, just for those that are still running on the analog signals, especially in the informal settlements and those in the rural areas who haven't come on
mm.
board with regards to the digital migration. Where do we stand at the moment, very briefly?
So at the moment, I just have to check my details again, but I know the department is going through the proper consultative processes now, because ETV has won a court case where they
Yes.
have to postpone the total switch off deadline, and so this it's still well progressed. We have to say, under the current minister, it seems like things, as Minister Kabutso Ntshavheni, it's
Yes.
really moved quickly, where they've pushed the provinces to turn off the analog signals finally, after so many years of delays, and just get those better broadcasts to the people. And I know the recent news is actually that they are seeing registrations for these subsidized digital decoders, which will help these people in indigent households in rural areas in particular, who aren't able to afford a digital TV or a digital decoder on their own, or a DSTV decoder. And they've seen the registrations decline drastically. So that is an indication that, more households now have digital decoders, and we are on the brink, I think, of that transition finally happening. And it's really good news for South Africa, because it means we can open up more frequency spectrum to the mobile network operators, and that will eventually, not immediately, we have to be careful here, because I
Mhm.
don't want to promise any big
Of
Vodacom or
course,
MTN
yes.
price increases, but
Yeah.
they have been constricted and confined by the limited spectrum, which has affected prices. And once the digital migration happens, in a few months, in a few years, we'll see data prices come down drastically, and just the overall mobile experience in the country improving, and more people will be able to access streaming services and more content at a more affordable price. So
Uh,
yeah, it's well developed. I think probably sometime in next year we'll see the early next year, maybe mid next year. the complete analog switch off once they've concluded those negotiations with the broadcast, well, discussions with the broadcasters, the government.
Anu, thank you for your time on Salam Media this evening, and I'm sure we can, talk a lot more about this. Obviously, these streaming devices take a lot of data as well, and I think data and
Yes.
broadband services, especially the cost of data, which the president has been promising is going to come down over and over and
Mm.
over. They want a spectrum auction now. Recently, some of the big guys won that, but we look forward to discussing, those topics in the future on Salam Media.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks
Thanks,
a lot,
guys.
Faisal, for the discussion. Keep doing the good work.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye bye. All right, that was Hanno Labuschagne. He's a journalist with My Broadband, speaking about DSTVs spiraling in South Africa. That's on the downward spiral. Yes, I have DSTV at home, but mainly for the sports because I love Formula One and cricket as well. But I'll tell you honestly, I mean, I haven't been watching any of the other channels recently, or I haven't been watching at all because there's just nothing interesting on there. Now and then there is an interesting documentary on National Geographic or Discovery or that kind of stuff, but it's mainly for the sport. And I mean, DSTV is exorbitantly priced at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's about $1,000. I do stand corrected. That's without any other additional bouquets with regards to Indian channels, which a lot of the people subscribe to, or my in-laws who subscribe to the Portuguese bouquet, which is additionally obviously another amount as well. So at the end of the day, you could be paying anywhere between 1,400 to 1,500 rand for TV, which is absolutely ridiculous considering the economic climate we're currently facing, where people even haven't got a money for a price or sorry, for a loaf of bread. And hopefully this week, well, not hopefully, but there is indication that tomorrow, hopefully, I will get the press release, and you look out for that story where the price of petrol is expected to come down. They're talking about 2 rand a liter. It might change, obviously, given the markets and the rand dollar exchange, but so hopefully some good news for the consumers this week. So maybe you can share your thoughts and comments with me. What subscription services or what streaming services do you subscribe to? Do you have DSTV? Do you have Disney? Do you have Showmax? Do you have Netflix? Do you have Apple TV or any other channel? What about BritBox or Amazon TV? Perhaps you have that. You can tweet me on it, Faizel Patel 143, and let me know whether DSTV is worth it or you subscribe to any other channels. But there is a remarkable price difference between DSTV and Netflix and many others. And I did a tweet about a month or so ago giving a comparison. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I mean, for those, and I just want to go through this quickly. I mean, Netflix just got absolutely top shows, as I mentioned, Apple TV as well. And then also, let's not forget Showmax, which is part of the DSTV sort of spectrum. And then you do have the Disney Channel. For those that love Marvel, well, you're going to get all the latest programs on there, and like the likes of Thor and many others as well. I really enjoy the Disney Channel, and my kids do as well. So I've subscribed to that. But DSTV, like I say, mainly for the sport. Anyway, let's move on to the second story for this evening. One of the brands, the top smartphone brands, and you're going to get to see a lot this month, have launched a number of devices. Apple is launching their devices on the 7th of September. This is happening on Wednesday. It's going to be live streamed from Cupertino, from the Steve Jobs Theater in Cupertino. And I've got an invite for that. So well, I wish I could go to Cupertino in California or to Silicon Valley to attend it, but I'll have to just do it from home, and I'll bring you all the latest from the Apple launch that's happening. They talking about the Apple 14, Apple iPhone 14 that's going to be coming out, Apple iPhone 14, Apple iPhone 14 Pro, and Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max. That's some of the devices will be coming out, but obviously we'll get more detail. There are some leaks that's on the internet at the moment, but again, Apple again expensive. The prices of these phones are just gone absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, a phone that you may able to afford is Honor, and they've had a launch on Friday. I did get a press release early. This was embargoed until about 6 p.m. So they've reaffirmed their commitment to international markets during its IFA keynote presentation. During the event titled Embracing the Connected Future, the company announced a new flagship strategy to bring the next foldable and all round flagship smartphones to Europe and other international markets. So that's very, very exciting. And I've got the story on the Citizen. You can also check it out on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Well, there's a lot of people at the moment that are doing the foldable phones. We spoke about the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. We spoke about Huawei's new foldable device as well, the Mate XS2, and a whole lot of others. And we know that also this thing's got one, which is Honor, which is coming out with their own one. But the new device that they launched at the IFA was also the Honor 70. Absolutely amazing device. This is something that is affordable. And they riding on the tagline of we have Google. So let me give you an example of why about that. Because Honor was part of Huawei, right? They were part of Huawei, but they broke off and now they're on their own. Now, Huawei doesn't have Google, but Honor does have Google. And when I went to a launch recently, they've been sort of speaking about this. We have Google, we have Google. So, yeah, it does come with Google. So that's basically the details of the launch. You can get a lot more on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. So Honor is a wonderful brand. I've used some of their devices. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. It's exactly, or I won't say exactly like the Huawei device, but based on a similar platform. But only thing is, Honor does have Google and Huawei doesn't. But I spoke about this before that you don't really need Google. You don't. I've used Huawei devices. I went with a P50 Pocket Premium for Hajj. I've taken photos, I've taken videos, and trust me, dear listeners, I did not need Google or Gmail because I could still log in on the phone on the on the web browser. So I mean, for those that are deterred with regards to whether they need Google on their Huawei devices, you don't have to stress. And also, speaking about Huawei watches, I am busy with a YouTube video. There's a myth that's being circulated that Huawei watches do not work with iOS devices or Android devices. I spoke to Akram Mohammed, the Vice President of Business Consumer at the Huawei, and he asked me to do a video, and that video, inshallah, is going to be going up on my YouTube channel soon to show you exactly how a Huawei watch can connect to an iOS device or an Android device, and how Huawei watch got a massive 2 week battery life compared to the others that on the market out there. All right, so that's Honor. Now we're going to go to a nice little story, and I've just written this afternoon. It's called A Phone in Your Pocket. I Told You So in 1963. So I was scouring the internet and I found this article, an old newspaper article that's dated April 10th or April 13th, 1963, and it's called "You'll Be Able to Carry a Phone in Pocket in the Future." And they were talking about how this phone was so small, it could fit in the palm of your hand and it can fit in your pocket. And here we are 59 years later, and we have these cell phones in our pocket. We don't only have cell phones in our pocket, we have cell phones that fold, or computers rather, that fold in half and fit in your pocket. And I've showed you the Galaxy Z Fold 3 that I have. Absolutely wonderful. And the best is yet to come. There's a lot more to come. If the hoverboards that you've seen in Back to the Future 2 or flying cars have not been perfected yet, but like the article in the newspaper, you can check out the story on the Citizen website. 59 years ago, we cannot even begin to imagine what comes next. The future of technology looks bright and exciting, makes life a whole lot easier, like me writing the story on my foldable phone that many at one time never imagined it. So, absolutely amazing. Check out that story and you can see, and we can know for ourselves, because just 20 or 25 years ago, we never knew that cell phones would be booming at such a phenomenal level. And finally, our last story for this evening. While we speak about technology, let us not forget the benefits of reading. And I love books, and no doubt some of you love books at home. That's why I've written a story which is available on my website called Highly Recommended Exclusive Books Reads for September. So they got some wonderful, wonderful books that you can buy from exclusive books. So basically, the story goes as such: as warmer temperatures envelop South Africa after winter and a series of cold spells, stealth help and smart crime are trending on the exclusive books recommended reading list for September. Exclusive Books is one of South Africa's largest book selling chains with stores throughout South Africa and the one store in Gaborone, Botswana, and Namibia. So don't worry about that. You can get it anywhere, including online. So they got some wonderful reading lists. You can check out those books on my website, and they got a new section called excuse me, Tasty Treats. For this year's Tasty Treats, exclusive books had a bit of fun with foodie words. So the somewhat overused local is lekker moniker has been turned on its head. So if you love cooking, all aspects of South African cooking, remember to check out the Tasty Treats from exclusive books. So some foodie trends exclusive books are focusing on is local is hearty, local is zesty, local is spicy. They even got some books called Veggielicious, Sifo, and many, many others. Now, I can't go through the whole list. Obviously, there's a lot of books there. But if you want to read or get the details of the exclusive books reads for September, check out my website on faizelpatel.com, also known as Wired to Tech. Anyway, dear listeners, that concludes the program for this evening. Jazakallah so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your feedback. And inshallah, we will have more discussions in the future on everything technology, everything gadgets, and anything that you want to know about. Please do tweet me on at Faizel Patel 143. I'm on facebook.com/ Faizel Patel and also on Instagram at Faizel Patel 143. And as I mentioned, the Huawei Watch video is going to be on YouTube soon, and a whole lot of other review videos also will be available on there as well. And remember that this particular show will be available on Salam Media's YouTube channel. It will also be available on my website at faizelpatel.com, also known as Y2Tech. So if you missed anything, inshallah, you can tune in via those mediums as well. And if there's anything that you want us to talk about, anything that you want to suggest, then please do share a message, contact the Salam Media officers, speak to my producer, which is Muhammad, and inshallah give him the heads up, and we will try to make that arrangements from you. So from myself, Faizel Patel, and my engineer for this evening, brother Sadiq, absolutely wonderful, going the extra mile to make the show wonderful and working behind the scenes. Sometimes they don't get acknowledgement, so jazakallah to him as well, and to the management of Salam Media for allowing me the opportunity to present the technology show on Salam Media. For myself and the entire team here at Salam Media, fi amanillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.